Welcome back to Heal. Healing, empowering, accepting, and living. A podcast sponsored by Changed by Fire. We're grateful to have you guys here as part of our ongoing journey of healing, finding safety and connection, and building a greater sense of understanding and hope in self and relationships through the burn injury. My name is Jen Severance. I am a burn survivor. What did we decide? Is it 8 years?
Has it been 8 years?
Oh my gosh, a burn survivor of 8 years. And this is my friend Lori.
And my name's Lori. I am a burn advocate for about 15 years now. I'm a clinical social worker, and I'm also a holistic trauma therapist. So I really help people kind of work through big and hard things in life. So just a recap of episode 5. So episode 5 of our Building and Bouldering Relationships series was around when healing is not possible. So we actually talked about burn injuries, healing supports, some of the stressors that happen in healing and how they affect relationships, and how to build foundations on what was there, what was experienced. We learned about common stressors that impact relationships with healing, and sometimes when things don't go the way you think they will or thought they could or have planned.
Yeah.
We had an awesome Q&A with Dave, who also is our podcast producer, and he shared his experience of relationships, ruptures, and the healing journey, and just insights on support and moving through when things don't happen as maybe desired and when loss occurs. So remember, too, our takeaway tool. We had a pretty cool takeaway tool called Letters of Loss, really to just explore, step into that sense of loss and learning to kind of let go of some things and intentionally let in new. So any insights on this technique and maybe how you might have used it or explored it on your own? We would love to hear that. This episode, we're going to widen our lens of relationships to have more of a focus on the family unit. And just specifically, how are family relationships impacted throughout burn healing? How we can support the family as they move through the trauma, both individually and collectively, and re-find that sense of safety and connection. So let's get healing.
So burn injuries are a devastating and life-changing experience. No matter how large or severe the burn is or how it occurred. I mean, I say it all the time to people who might have just a little burn. And, oh, Jen, yours is worse. No, there's no comparison. Like, whatever your experience is, this is it's a life-altering experience and a literal change in the makeup of your body. It's pretty big. So upon a burn injury, safety and life as we know it changes. And things are not as assured or as protected as they may have been before, either by our perception or in reality. Just there are many big emotions, and the things we need in life, everything can change, and certain parts of life just become more acute. And no matter if one individual is impacted or multiple members, as the family that we're going to focus on today, the burn injury especially can impact the whole family unit. So every single member of a family is affected by the burn trauma, often in different ways that interconnect with their life roles, their stages of development, how affected by the healing process, and the overall supports that are afforded in the recovery process.
And I think if you think about it from all the various lenses from which an injury is seen, especially when a family is impacted, because we're talking about different development, different kind of like abilities to really cognitively understand, comprehend what's going on. From a parent lens, There may be, how do I take care of my child? How do I tend to healing and other support needs? What about the siblings and the home environment? How do I financially afford care? How do I navigate any time off from work for extended healing needs? From a sibling's perspective, it may be more, what is happening? Are they going to be okay? Why can't I be a part of like the hospital stay? Or why can't I be in a dressing change or in a surgery? Why are things changing? Why am I not getting the attention that I got before?
No.
For a survivor, and this could be for an adult, teen, child survivor, I'm scared. I don't understand what's happening. Why can't I go to school? Why can't I go to work? Why can't I go home? Why can't I have visitors all the time? Why can't my family come and stay with me? Grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins, so a little bit more extended version of family, what's going on? We don't understand. Why can't we all visit? Maybe lots of different viewpoints and care and needs, or even a sense of disagreement. I disagree with how you're doing this or what they're deciding, and how this all sits, like physically, emotionally, socially. I mean, like for me, like just hearing all that's like, a little confusing, a little bit like shooken up, maybe a sense of helpless or hopeless, maybe a little bit of that freeze or that fight or flight, maybe some disengagement. So it just brings a lot of like big feels and emotions and sensations that don't all work together so great.
Yeah, absolutely. And everyone kind of shows up in a way that they can, in whatever way that they have available to them. You might have some family members who just can't deal or disagree with how maybe someone is helping the burn survivor. Or for me, as a survivor and being in the hospital, it was hard for me to watch my family watch me suffer.
Yeah.
So I was experiencing the physical pain, but I was watching my family experience the emotional pain. And that was hard for me to watch. So yeah, there's so many dynamics to family and how we all interpret what's going on.
Well, and I think you made a big point with regards to everyone shows up as they can, but then it's how does everyone's capacity, developmental understanding, and abilities match each other? They don't. And so then it is this like, okay, well, we all got to figure out how to navigate moving forward.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, a burn injury often throws the family unit into sort of a place of crisis, right? Where multiple emotions arise. You've got fear, concern, worry, sadness, anger. There might be guilt or shame coming from the family or coming from the burn survivor. Like you and I both have seen so many situations of how a burn injury can happen that can bring all of that into play. In all these areas, emotionally, they impact the family unit. They need to be tended to and supported alongside the physical recovery process and in a developmentally supportive manner. Like, what might that look like? What's that going to look like?
I think, and I've had some thoughts on this both when I worked more in the field as well as now. I think like, what does it look like to bring the family together and to really try and kind of like engage, re-engage? And I think that's some of that is in, engaging the family unit both individually and together, kind of validating, encouraging thoughts, allowing for feelings to be shared in and out of the hospital, all stages of recovery, allowing for communication about what's going on in the healing process to support each family member and their developmental needs, their capacities, their understanding. So this being super mindful of, there are social workers and child life specialists in many hospital settings that can be a great resource with this, that can help with preparation, that can help with wording, that can help with understanding. And I think also in that communication, you want to be both honest and accurate, those two pieces, with what's chosen to relay and how. Supporting any sense of normalcy and routine. So routine is super important to us as human beings in creating a sense of safety. When we have things that we can expect and kind of like go about and do on a day-to-day, which is why many human beings pattern in certain regular ways, routine helps us kind of like engage in the familiar. So if there's any regular routine or normalcy, you can encourage in that family, school, homework, chores, meals, that felt sense of support that felt sense of familiarity and commonality, that's a great resource in healing. And then building opportunities to speak regularly as a family in what's possible. I mean, if you're separated by the hospital, is there a weekly family talk time or FaceTime or a family share journal? Like maybe taking a journal and each kind of sharing and writing things around so you can kind of a different way to like insight. It's just you really want to explore ways to bring in that sense of connection and also a sense of encouragement. So this one's big. Being able to support connection and then healing. So can we have like a weekly affirmation practice? Can we each share like a weekly affirmation? Or can we kind of like when we notice the talk is more a lot of big feelings or more negatively aligned, we're going to have a minute of, positive talk time. And like, do we have anything like positive or encouraging we can bring in? Thank you notes, appreciation notes, being able to pass and share these amidst the hospital, the healing settings. Again, that's bringing in that felt encouraging, positive sense of support and connection that can really kind of reunify or unify in the midst of any friction.
Yeah. And I think the common thread is communication. Yeah. Just communicate with one another and be open, express what you need. Right? Either as a burn survivor or as a family member.
Yep.
So while these are all tremendous ways to affect and support family connections amidst different roles in burn recovery, it would be realistic to say that they do not always happen. I mean, life is always a tumultuous thing. And oftentimes an injury can create a greater sense of discord in a family and lead to maybe blaming or shaming as to the cause of the injury, distancing around maybe some hospital fears, the potential for recovery, and a lot of changed roles and overall dynamics. And I know that's a lot where all of a sudden someone is needing a lot more care than they did, and family members needing to change roles. And we've talked to many families who kind of had an upheaval in, who was doing what in the family, right? So, how the burn injuries happened, who all was involved, who was present, who was not, and how each person makes sense of the injury and the healing process. That all plays a role here. So what do we do to help then? And when there is a splintering of family support needs, how do we best integrate surviving and thriving amongst as much of the family unit as possible? So today we are fortunate enough to speak with the Martinez Roller family, and we're going to hear about the impact from a burn injury that they experienced about 8 years ago. So we've got Andrea, James, and Rose. And we're going to hear a little bit about the journey that they've been on. And let's get started.
Yeah. And you can choose as much or as little as you want to share about any of these questions, any of these parts. Okay. We really want this to be something that you feel open and able to talk about. And if there's things that you don't want to right now, that's 100% fine. So with each of the questions, as much or as little you want to share, and we'll give some opportunity for each of you guys. So firstly, what are your memories around the healing process after your burn injury? Can you tell us maybe a little bit about some of what you remember, maybe what was difficult, and maybe some things that were maybe a little bit easier?
It was really the cast that bothered me.
The cast? Where did you have a cast?
A few on my arms. Obviously the leg and foot.
How old were you, Rose? Do you remember that?
4 or 3.
4 or 3? 2? You were 2.
Yeah.
Wow.
Little.
You were little.
Little.
Okay, so you remember being restricted suddenly in your life with being able to move your limbs with those casts.
Yeah, all I could do is mostly this, put my leg up.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I don't know many 2 or 3-year-olds that appreciate being restricted from moving around.
Right.
No, they do not.
Andre, what about you?
Well, there was my actual healing and then Yuna's healing, and with her being so little, there was a lot that could not be done. And then there was a lot that needed to be done. And when you can't do what needs to be done, it's very difficult to keep having a relationship with like such a little one because they're already so dependent on you, and your relationship is dependent on what you're providing for the toddler, the baby. That kind of does put a damper on a lot of things. So at that time, it was really difficult to even have a relationship. My hands were burned. So I couldn't hold her. I couldn't even change a diaper. Those things were really hard, especially in the very beginning when I was too bandaged up.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot when you're just a little baby. And to have, it's one thing to be a burn survivor, but to be a burn survivor and have another member of your family literally on that journey with you and someone that's dependent upon you. Yeah, that's a lot.
How you operated in the family, your roles completely change, and what you're able to do and what you're not able to do. And that brings a lot of additional feelings, I think, on top of the feelings just surrounding the whole burns injury healing process.
So, and you guys were in the hospital, and how did the hospital and the post-hospital healing affect your family and how it operated? Like, what changed? What stayed the same? This would be an interesting one for you, James, because you were watching all of this, right?
I was in the hospital too, though.
Yeah.
A lot. Because I still had glass and stuff.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So you were right there with them. Yeah. So what was that hospital journey like for you guys? Were you all staying there? Were you all admitted all at once, or was there? Yeah.
Yeah, we were all admitted together. We all went to the same hospital. In the ambulance, I remember they were writing for me, but like filling out the paperwork. They were asking me all of their questions. So we all got registered and everything together.
Wow. Okay. And then all of your healing journeys were just so individual to what your injuries were.
Yeah.
And so, you know, each of you probably had your own needing to be at the hospital or not after, you know, once that first initial hospital stay is over. So you had a lot of in and out and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of in and out.
Were you guys all in different rooms?
Yeah.
So how did that work?
Interestingly, because sometimes the doctors would let me go and visit Mom or Yuna. And yeah, that's it. They couldn't even get out of bed until like, I think, Yuna like a month and a half. And then Mom almost 3 months. Yeah.
So you went from seeing your mom and your sister really being able to kind of be up and engaged and participating in a part of your life to then not really being able to do and be in the way they were before.
Yeah. While I was getting surgeries, no one was there because they couldn't be there. They're all so busy. And then whenever they were, I was asleep.
Was that scary going into those surgeries and not having the family right there with you? Yeah. I imagine that would be true. Yuna, do you remember, Rose?
No,
No.
just small surgeries.
Yeah.
I'm curious if maybe you remember a little bit more like as you got older, because you've had to have a lot of different surgeries and different things as you got older in therapies. Do you remember those?
There's so many surgeries I forgot some.
Yeah. Were those easy or hard for you?
The stitches and the laser was easy, but when I was going into full surgery, when they took off skin, was hard.
Those were hard. Like hard, like they hurt and not comfortable. And those ones you probably had to stay at the hospital for, huh?
Yeah. Sometimes I could go home. It's just sometimes.
Yeah. A lot of times, injuries and accidents can kind of make us feel a little different in our roles in our family and in life. So they can affect like how we can show up as a mom or a brother or a sister and how we feel like we fit into things or what we're able to do. How do you guys think that your injury, your accidents affected like how you saw each other as brother, sister, mom, your ability to kind of be who you were before it all?
That's a loaded question.
That is a loaded question. Remember, though, I said as much or as little as you choose to or you're able to share about. Because I imagine that's, especially
That's
for
right.
you, probably carrying,
My
being the mom
Yeah.
and being injured and having some limitations and just carrying probably a lot of memory and emotion surrounding this whole process. You might have the most to share on that. But it's whatever you feel you're up to.
No, there's a lot to share on that. There's a lot that I'm willing to share on that too. But also to compress it because we don't have time like that.
Multi-episode.
It really can be because you go from essentially being useless. When you're all bandaged up, when you face the reality of it, you're useless. You're not doing nothing. You're
powerless.
That is such like a big feel, like the helpless, useless feel, especially if that's the opposite of what or maybe how you were before.
It's still, I did not change. I've always been very independent, very strong, I am doing it. I am a doer. So to have to sit back and let other people do was, one, a test of my control issues. And then two, was a very learned experience. I feel like I came back like 10 years more mature from it. Because I didn't have a choice but to sit back. And that just was not ever happening before. And so watching them just doing whatever it is that they're doing, because I couldn't get up to join them, I got to like learn little parts of them that I wouldn't see because I was there like in it. Whereas now I'm watching. And so like I can appreciate watching just kids playing on the street more. Not that I didn't before, but like it's a whole different light. It's like I can actually look back and be like, oh, that's so nice. Instead of like, oh my God, they're gonna fall. Because that's what it was before. It was like I was just worried they were gonna hurt themselves in some way, like in a big, significant way. Not that they're just gonna trip and scrape their knee. But that was always looming fear. But once the worst happened and it wasn't anything we could do about it, it was a lot more freeing and like, well, you know, they get to experience like positive injuries. You know, scraping their knee because they were climbing a tree.
Yeah.
Things like that. And I'm not under the tree to catch them. Because that's what they used to have a lot of freedom to do stuff. I got pictures of James all up in trees. But I was there. Like I was always right there. Like just ready to catch them. And then I wasn't able to be. And so like they actually had to fall for real on their own.
Yeah.
And I cried with them just as much as they were crying when they fell. But then now they have a lot more confidence in speaking to adults in like in ways that truly matter, like in reinforcing their boundaries, even setting boundaries with an unknown adult. Like they can do that. And I see some kids their age still struggling with that. So there's benefits to everything that like kind of happened. And again, there's like so much.
Yeah.
Because your relationship gets essentially stripped and you have to rebuild it from scratch. You might have all that past stuff, but it doesn't matter anymore. All that stuff is just shedded. And this is all new. And we have to start from again, stage number 1, just like the day that they were born. Who are you now?
Yeah. Wow.
Well, and it's interesting you're noticing that, like, in the midst of your like powerless or helpless, you got to see them kind of step into their power.
Yeah.
And so you have a whole sense of who they are as the individual beings they are, and appreciation for how they've been able to step into and show up.
Which gave me confidence in, like, because I mean, your confidence gets shattered after one of these kinds of injuries. And knowing that I had set them up beforehand for them to be so resilient and so strong, and then to move forward in such a way without me, like, actually there doing that, I knew I did good.
Yeah.
So, like, that gave me a lot of confidence, and I would say, like, the foundation of what I have been rebuilding or been building, not even rebuilding, because I've changed a lot of stuff. It's not even a rebuild. It is a build. It's like, I don't even know how to describe it, because it's like you were building something with Legos, but then now you just scrap it all and you start building it for real.
Yeah, and you're probably using some of the things from the past that worked, but you've got this whole brand new scenario. What can I use from the past? But these are new people. We are in a new situation. And how do we kind of combine the past, the present, and the future, like, to move forward?
Yeah.
Wow.
James and Rose, what was it like for you guys kind of having your mom away for a lot for her healing, and then you guys, like, how did you both handle it, and even being away from each other?
It was hard. That's for sure. It was very hard.
But hard.
So I remember the day the day I got out the hospital for the first time. I had what was it? I had gone straight to my great grandmother's house, and we didn't get to see either of them because they were both in surgery at the same time for about almost 2 hours. Because I think it was you were getting laser, she was getting more
Stitches.
yeah, they had extended your skin more near your feet. And a bunch of laser all on this arm. Yeah. 2.5 hours. And so we had to leave, and once we were leaving, they were already getting out of surgery. So I didn't even get to see them. And it was like that almost every time we had to go.
So it's like you would want to go and visit, but that visit, like, was never promised. Sometimes they weren't there or available for you to see and kind of really interact with. So a lot of disappointment. And kind of trying to figure out how to navigate, how to deal with that.
Yeah. And once Yuna woke up, it was all different, because of course she was just still in bed and all that, but I would go see her. She would still be asleep because all the anesthesia and all that. She'd be groggy. Yeah.
Rose, do you remember people visiting you in the hospital, like your brother and your mom or anyone else in your family?
Only a few people, like, obviously James, a few other people from my family, and a few friends.
Well, and we've talked a little bit about what it was like to be separated. So, I mean, that comes up a lot with you guys as a family. With, like, me as a burn survivor, it was me. Like, I was in the hospital, and so I can remember the people visiting, but it felt like, to me, just my journey. So it's so interesting that you guys have to look at your injuries as it's mine, but you share something really amazing. You guys have been through a really amazing experience together. And I love how you kind of made a positive change out of it, and how you guys probably are growing up in a different way than you may have before this happened to you. And how you handled it individually and as a family, being separated. So Andrea, for you, now between you and I know James got out of the hospital first, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then as far as being separated, between you and Rose, did you both kind of have the same time journey as far as being out of the house? And no,
We were way different.
way different.
Yeah. She was already up and like, they were trying to get her to walk by the time I was waking up.
Oy, okay.
Actually, just a little before, like a week before you woke up, they already had her on the
See, they lied to me because it was supposed to be when I was
No.
waking up. I think they tried to make me feel better.
Oh.
Well, even just like as a parent, like waking up and seeing like your child like starting a process that you helped her do when she was very, very little and having some limitations and being able to be a part of that.
I didn't even get to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was still stuck in bed for like a long time afterwards. She was already discharged and everything before I was even close to going to the rehab facility. So like, it was really lonely because obviously I want all of the adults in my life to be taking care of my kids, right?
Yeah.
But then that leaves me alone at the hospital. And so, you know, it's definitely a parental sacrifice, but it's like really bigger than people think it is because you're just alone so long and you're just laying there. You got nothing. And then I didn't have my glasses at the time, so I couldn't see even if they put the TV on because I was like this blind.
I don't even know how many people knew too that you had or you wore glasses until you said
I tried to
something
tell-
surrounding that.
I tried to tell the
Yeah.
doctors that she wore glasses, but they weren't. They're like, nah, we haven't seen that. Nope.
Well, yeah, I was this blind. I had to
Oh
be
my
like right in front of me to
goodness.
see. So most of the nurses and the doctors, I only knew by their voices. I didn't know at all what they looked like. I had to make up faces in my head so I can separate them, kind of.
Wow.
Well, and I think just with their different time frames of healing, and there had to be others and others supporting like the whole process of healing. Family members had to come together to kind of support and provide some of that supports. But what I found happens a lot in families is sometimes families see eye to eye, especially if we're talking like within or outside your own families, and sometimes they don't. So
Yeah.
how did you guys handle that decisions around healing and supports, and how did you find any sense of peace in that process too? Because even how involved were you able to be?
Well, for one, a lot of my care that I was unable to be vocal about had to go through my parents. And if you know, you know, I'm a child of divorced parents. I think that says a lot already. But once I was able to start gaining more control and vocalize more things, I was the one doing it. I was the one making the decisions. I was the one doing a lot. I did have my stepmom and my grandmother to kind of help and bounce ideas off of. But for the most part, yeah, as soon as I was able to, I was the one doing it all. I was the one making the decisions and all of that, especially for them.
Yeah.
They got to see a bit of their mom back then.
A little bit. Yeah. It was more vocally they saw me back before physically. Really.
You were given the orders.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just glad that they respected what I said. Because I will also, if they had not, it would have been heard. So I might not have been able to get up and walk over to you to tell you. But when I see you, I will tell you.
You have a strong sense of boundaries.
I like what I like.
Yes. Well, we've known you for a while, and you are a force to be reckoned with. So.
Yes.
So what were some of the greatest helps on your journey? And maybe you kids can also speak to this. Like, what was something that you remember that was a positive thing about healing? Something that made you feel better, like literal helps, like, for instance, burn garments, and up to maybe some more emotional helps, family members, having your mom back and being more able to be in your life. Like, what were some of the things that helped you navigate moving forward?
That helped you be who you are today.
Yeah.
Whether they be people or things that happened or support you got, or even just like being all back together in the same house.
That was definitely one big thing.
Huge.
And then even better when we actually had some space.
Yeah.
So when you first, after the injury, I imagine you were all living with family members that were helping you.
Yes.
So were you out of your own home then?
Yeah.
So it wasn't like your own home base where you really felt at home.
Yeah. First, we were staying with one side of my family, and because they were the ones more qualified to take care of the more intensive care for both of us. And then as we needed less care, we got to move with my other side of the family. And they helped with a lot of other stuff, like helping us actually get up on our feet. So each side helped most definitely equally, but in different ways. And then pretty much once we were put back up on our feet, we were just able to take off running from there. From there, it was like just all us, basically. I actually cut off a lot of the support that we did have and redo the whole thing. Because like I said, it's a whole new build.
Yeah.
Some of the people that were there that were supporting us, although we were appreciative, they were not very conducive to a healthy environment moving forward. So it's one of those things, you gotta go. It's not personal. It doesn't mean there's no love. It just means you gotta go.
So boundaries have been a big part of your rebuilding and kind of healing forward, having like boundaries and to create that healthy environment you're wanting.
Yeah, and I'm learning all this language later after I started doing the thing. Yeah.
What about you guys? Do you remember anything that was sort of a positive part?
Any visitors or any places you went or things you did or things that were provided that you found helpful?
It was a memory lane through Phoenix. We would walk through Phoenix like an aunt, uncle, cousin, or grandpa, grandma. We'd walk through Phoenix. And that really helped me. Just like walking through your childhood home, you know?
Oh, cool.
Revisiting places.
Yeah.
Remembering the guy you were growing up.
Oh, he was the man. He was the little man walking around.
I remember.
Yeah.
For me, if I even moved a finger or a blood cell, everyone was on me.
Everyone.
Oh.
Yeah.
You were very tended to.
You were very
much
And
so.
Rose, was that a good thing? Did you enjoy that? Did you like the attention of it, or?
I kind of needed my space.
Ah!
But every time a blood cell or a finger moved, or even my toe.
Everyone would come running.
So for you, a big part was like being able to do things on your own again and being able to use your voice to say like what you were going to do and how you were going to do.
There was always one person. There was one person. Every time I just moved a single muscle, a single blood cell, single anything, they would come running.
Joy's just one person, then they called the rest.
That's funny. That makes me think of, I often talk about how there's kind of a moment where you stop thinking of yourself as the burn survivor and that you can move forward. And I think that's probably a lot of what Rose is saying, where everyone was thinking of you as the little burn survivor and coming to you at every moment, where there's a moment at some point in your journey where you finally just feel like Rose, you feel like James, you feel like Andrea. And this is just a part of who you are. It's something that happened to you, something that helped shape you.
Yeah.
But
It's not
now,
you, per
yeah,
se.
but it's not everything.
Yeah. At some point, it is everything. And then slowly, it just becomes whatever it is.
I think that's like such a part of the healing when like the healing seems more like something that happened there and you're here, then it's like you move outside of that place. For you all, if there was anything like you could share with others that might experience an injury like yours or have multiple members in the hospital and healing, with your knowledge that you know now, what would you want to tell them? What do you think they might find as helpful in being able to like go through the hard things of healing and kind of find themselves again?
I would say be kind to yourself. Like, just be so, so, so nice. So kind to yourself. If nobody else, yourself. Like, just whatever is going on, whatever doubts you have, be nice about it. Maybe you can't pick up a quarter right now off the floor, but that doesn't mean 2 years from now you won't be able to still. It's a matter of time. It's a matter of patience. And it's just, most importantly, being kind to yourself.
Now's the time to build that compassionate voice versus that critical voice we all have.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely starting internal and then going external. Because we were able to focus a lot really fast on the physical. And then the mental comes like a year later. And so you're like, whoa, wait, I just finished all this healing stuff that I just did, right? Well, turns out there's a whole bunch more to go. Every time. Every corner you turn, there's going to be more. So just be nice to yourself. Pick up your bags and keep going. Because you're going to get to your station. And then once those bags are finally actually down, you're just on a platform going. Like, it's just rolling like a roller coaster. Because there's still a lot of ups and downs. But it's a lot more fun. And it's a lot more easier once you get over those really big hurdles. It's kind of like sneaking into amusement park. Once you get into everything and you're on the rides, it's great.
Take all the free food.
What was that? Is this Rose's comment? Take all the free food?
Yes.
There are some perks of, being in the hospital and getting catered to in some ways. The food probably a little bit more helpful being catered to than some of the other members.
Yeah, I remember being in the hospital and you really wanted your friends to bring something from the outside.
Jack in the Box.
Jack in the Box. Oh,
Yeah, Jack in
because
the
that was
Box.
right across the street from the hospital, right?
Yep.
Is this? Oh, yeah.
So,
Huh?
yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's right there. We'd bribe her so much with so much food.
Well, that apparently is the part that she really remembers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like one time someone just brought Burger King. She was willing to go. I forgot what it was, but she was
willing to go do a lot of stuff for some Burger King.
Yeah, she was. I remember it was some chicken fries and fries.
Oh, yeah.
Fries and fries.
Food can be very incentivizing.
Yeah,
What about
very
you, James?
motivating.
Anything that you would share if there were others kind of going through a similar experience? What do you want them to know?
Relax and don't stress eat.
Don't stress eat.
Yeah. Don't stress
Relax
eat.
and be mindful of your behaviors.
And meditate.
Oh,
Relax.
and meditate.
Oh, yes. He's been big on breath work.
That's excellent. It is so very true.
Wim Hof. To be specific, Wim Hof.
Ooh, I love the Wim Hof
at
technique.
him.
How does it make you feel when you engage in something like that? What do you notice happens in your body?
It loosens. Just everything. It feels like it drops.
Helps you feel a little safer. I love that. What a great thing to share.
That is an awesome thing to share.
Yeah.
When I was in the hospital, I used to do a lot of yoga, and one of the yoga instructors for me created an audio, just like you're talking about. Like, I couldn't move my body, but my mind was fine, and I could breathe, and she could walk me through, breathing exercises. So that actually is quite an excellent
Awesome.
thing to offer to somebody who's in the situation that you guys were in. For sure. Wow, you guys, we really appreciate you being here and sharing. You guys have a really unique story, and it's a unique perspective. And I know, because I've seen families I know there are a lot of families who, as a family, have been injured in similar ways. And we really appreciate you having the courage and the confidence to come here and tell everybody about your story. And I think it's really helpful, especially to those out there who are newly experiencing being in this new world, building from scratch. You know, we have to move forward. There's no going back once something like this happens. We have to move forward. And you guys, all three of you have such a positive outlook on life, and in your experience, this has just been a wonderful thing for you to share.
It's like you've reclaimed yourselves as you outside of this injury. I think that is the most like encouraging aspect to see, like, you're people. You're Andrea, you're Rose, you're James. And to let other people know, like, you get to be and find you. You're not always going to be in this survivor type of role. You get to create a whole new one that is you.
Yeah. And also because I'll be damned if somebody just goes and calls me the burned girl over and over like they were trying to. No.
No. It's not all you are.
No, it is most definitely is not.
But it has really, if we can all take something positive out of what's happened to us, I think you guys are a great example of moving forward.
Yeah.
And becoming the best versions of yourself. You're not victims. You're survivors. And you are so much more than what happens. So thank you guys for being here.
As in every episode, we like to share a takeaway tool that can be applied to our listeners as just an additional resource in healing. And usually these are related to our session topic, our visitors, and today is no different. So today is a takeaway that can be used to support further family engagement, communication throughout the healing process. And I like to call it rules of engagement.
It's a group activity.
It is. So we're going to, now obviously Jen and I are a small group, so our demonstration is going to look a little differently. But with rules of engagement, typically you pick an item that you're going to use as kind of like your talking point. So I have a rock here I'm going to use. I actually had a much cuter rock with little eyeballs that my child made, but unfortunately I forgot to bring it today. You can use a talking stick. You can use a child toy. So it can really be anything. It's just going to be like that talking point. And so there's a few rules with this game. One is just you want to be authentic. You want to show up. You want to be real. So you want to be able to be yourself in it. We want to take turns. So whoever has the talking tool gets to be the person that talks.
Okay.
And we want to be respectful in passing whatever it is. Obviously, I'm not going to lob this rock at
Please
Jen.
don't lob that at me.
But we want to be respectful in passing and have a sense of fun. So for rules of engagement, what we're going to do is we're going to determine what we want to talk on. And we're going to take turns moving the talking tool around, and the person that you pass it to gets to kind of fill up or start next with whatever you're sharing about. So we're going to talk a little bit today about where we're at today, what we're feeling today, and that'll be our topic. And I'm going to start, and when I pass it to Jen, she's going to continue, and she's going to pass back and forth. If you're in a family, you can pass in a circle, you can pass however you pass, but you get to pick up where the other person left off. So they can get really creative, and it can really just bring more of a sense of fun and engagement and excitement to wherever you're at in your healing process. So I'm feeling really encouraged today because we just got to hear from an amazing family, and I really love watching other people grow. And when I watch other people grow, it just reminds me of my own growing spaces inside.
Yes, I did enjoy seeing, a different perspective of someone's journey. And when we look at other people's journeys, it can help inform us about our own journey and things to be grateful for. And I'm just so grateful to know so many cool people in this community.
Mm-hmm. jumping off of that gratitude, I think I'm grateful that I have a pretty awesome co-host that I get to like hang out with on a regular basis and speak on about things and you help me continue to kind of learn and grow as a person too. And so I'm grateful for that.
Oh, and that makes me grateful for the exact same thing. You know, I was volunteering as a burn survivor, and then COVID hit, and I kind of stopped giving in so many words. And when this podcast came along and was offered to me, it allowed me to continue my journey in a way that I wasn't expecting. So it's kind of fun that things come into our lives that take us in a new direction.
Speaking of directions, sometimes this can happen like in talking tables. Speaking of directions, I am quintessentially not really the greatest at like reading directions when we come to maps. I'm really great at following directions, but reading directions, not so much. However, finding my direction and my way to do this podcast every month, like I've figured it out. So I feel really encouraged by my ability to figure things out and navigate the direction of my own life.
Wow.
See, look at how this goes. I'm going to let you end it.
It's funny that you should mention about direction because I'm horrible. I never know what direction I'm facing. I don't know which way is north, east, west, or south. But yes, having activities like this one, not just this activity, but us together coming together about once a month to do this, frames, it makes a nice framework in life to have these things that we come to. I mean, we have work, we have maybe school, you have kids, and but it's the stuff that frames our life. And I like that we get to come together in this way and give of ourselves, and also be able to take from all of the folks that come and participate in this wonderful thing that has been built by Changed by Fire and Julie and you. And so let's bring it right back to gratitude. I'm so grateful that we're here together.
So you see how this can work, this rules of engagement. It's really kind of continuing the conversation, and you can have it focus around just, where are you at today? You can have it focus around gratitude. You can have it focus around kind of what's happening right now, your healing journey, going back to school, going back to work. You can have it on so many topics, and it really just opens the conversation and allows people to use their voice and reconnect and just bring that sense of connection and unity back into the family environment. So I love it.
It is very cool. I like it. And you can do so many things with it. Have so many topics or invite a conversation that maybe otherwise just sitting around the kitchen table, you might not have hit on some things that everyone's individual ideas bring you to. It's cool. Well, so you guys think about that. Look at that one. See if you want to play with that one with your family or friends. So thanks for being here. And to close out this episode, Changed by Fire is a 501c3 nonprofit committed to helping burn survivors and their families cope and thrive in life after a burn, emotionally, psychologically, and socially, utilizing alternative healing methods such as EFT, equine therapy, burn scar massage, yoga, aromatherapy, meditation and breath work, and so much more. And we're excited to provide regular community events in Arizona to enhance relationships and community, as well as we're actively building out our website to showcase, even more virtual support. So you don't need to live in Arizona to take advantage of what Changed by Fire has to offer. So check us out at www.changedbyfire.org. And if you're interested in being on the podcast, sharing your tools for healing, your story, or if you're a practitioner, we would love to hear how you can help in that way and help us expand our reach. Please reach out to us. And just a reminder about our 6th annual upcoming Arizona Walk of Courage.
I am
It's gonna
super
be-
excited
I know,
about
me
that.
too. It's going to be on Sunday, March 23rd in the morning.
Mhm.
I've been every year, as have you, right?
Yeah.
My dogs come. Feel free to bring your dogs, bring your family, and even folks that have nothing to do with the community
Yeah.
have been able to join just because they want to be part of a charity walk run. So there's so much of the community that comes out for this event. And it features, you can do it virtually as well,
Mhm.
which is awesome. We've got the 5K and 10K options. You can walk, you can run. And it's our method of bringing the community together, connection, awareness toward healing in the burn community, and furthering funding toward the alternative therapy supports and survivor, the needs of the family that Change by Fire brings to the community. So check it out and consider sharing and signing up today at www.arizona or azwalkofcourage.com.
Love that.
Yay!
And until next time, we're going to end with our HEAL acronym, which is actually what our podcast is called. So HEAL, H, have some insights on your family dynamics around your injury and healing. E, empower ways to communicate and share your understanding, your needs together. A, allow for feelings both individually and collectively. And L, listen and let in love and healing as it can and does exist. Until next time.
Yay! Thanks, everybody.